There's a video on my channel right now that's going absolutely nuts, and that is my hair loss story. This video started off with about 2,000–3,000 views, and pretty much overnight went from 3,000 views to over 40,000 views. And when this video airs, I don't even know what that video will be at. But since then, it's been kind of an eye-opening experience for me. I've been getting hundreds of comments from women all over the world talking about how they are also experiencing female hair loss and how it has affected their self-esteem, how it has affected their day-to-day life. And I really felt like it was important for me to make a follow-up video on that video because there was more to the story than I told you. There's more to that experience that I let up. And the reason that I didn't tell you the full story to begin with is because it makes me feel super vulnerable, super exposed, and it's hard for me to open up on such a huge platform and really tell things on like a more deeply personal level. In that video, I talked about how I have a condition called traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is a form of hair loss caused by repeated pressure being put on the follicle. The reason that I have traction alopecia is because I wore my hair in really, really high and tight ponytails for a really, really long time. And I did it daily, all the time, over and over and over again, over several years. The second reason that I have traction alopecia is because I was addicted to hair extensions. I didn't only wear them once in a while and give my follicle and my hair some time to breathe. I just would repeatedly wear them, put them on over and over and over again. My hair looks full, but it's actually incredibly fine. The tension of those extensions were heavier than my actual hair. So the extensions themselves weighed more than my hair. So that pulling on that follicle ended up making my follicles die and release from my head. So those were two really big reasons why I ended up with traction alopecia, but there's more to that story than just that. And I just feel like since there's a huge global community, so many people are wanting to know more about this, it's basically my responsibility to tell you, because if you're experiencing this, it could be because of more than just that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gabby, and I am a hairdresser and a makeup artist in Canada. For my entire career, most of my career, I was working in film and TV, commercial, editorial, and fashion sets. I started actually before going into hair and makeup as a model. I did a little bit of modeling, nothing crazy, but a bit. And then I got my footings in that industry and met a ton of people, fell in love with it. Didn't necessarily love modeling, didn't necessarily have the right structure, the right body for it. So I ended up going into the direction of makeup and hair. The reason that I'm telling you this story is because it paves the way for what actually ended up happening and why it led to hair loss. In the fashion industry, there is an enormous pressure to be extraordinarily thin. And I'm not talking about like thin as in fit, I'm talking about thin as in gaunt. And so when I was in modeling, my waist was never small enough. I have pretty small hips, but my waist was always around a 27, 28, and it needed to be around a 25. So day in and day out, I was told no, I was not cast for things. I was not, able to go to certain auditions because I didn't have these measurements that were considered the ideal model measurements. And when you're 17 years old or 18 years old, those ideal model measurements really become the necessary measurements to be beautiful in your head. You don't have perspective when you're super young, or I didn't, at least. Maybe if you're very young, you might, but I didn't. I just kept being fed this information constantly, being told that the thinner you are, the more beautiful you are. The thinner you are, the more money you make. The thinner you are, the more things you're cast for, the more people see you, the magazines you get, la la la. And it just becomes this thing that's like, the thinner you are, the better you are. The thinner you are, the better of a person you are, which is so messed up. So freaking messed up. So I never was really able to get my measurements to that point. Ended up going into makeup and hair, and then I became really busy working on fashion editorial sets, magazine sets, doing different campaigns, doing commercial shoots for like Sears catalogs, doing makeup for the models for those shoots. And I kept hearing these same things, like that model's got perfect measurements, blah, blah, blah. And it just starts to like ingrain in your brain and make you feel like that's like the ideal, right? And so fast forward a little bit, I ended up meeting someone who I really loved, who's like a great person. And we actually ended up getting married. And over time, we just realized that we weren't right for each other. It wasn't really the right thing to do. So we ended up getting divorced. But this was all when I was younger than 23. So it's just like a lot was going on, right? Like I was working in this industry, I got married, realized it wasn't the right person, got divorced. And then with that came like a ton of stigma, feeling really embarrassed, having spent an enormous amount of money on this wedding. All of that was like an emotional storm, right? So there was a lot of emotional stress that happened with that situation. And I'm the type of person, if I'm extremely stressed, I have a really hard time eating. I get like stress anxiety and my stomach like knots and I can't eat. So I basically just like stopped eating for a really long time. And I got down to those measurements that everyone wanted me to be. And at this point, I wasn't even a model anymore. I was a makeup artist, but it was crazy because as I was working on set, on these huge sets for big campaigns, the photographer would tell me, oh my gosh, you look incredible. I had one photographer I will never forget who told me, wow, divorce looks good on you. And I just, So for me to go down to like a size 0 and have all of these people who I really respected tell me that I look amazing and you look beautiful and oh my God, you should be the model. It was crazy. I was the freaking makeup artist and I started booking more work. Everybody wanted me on set all of a sudden. It's like my work was suddenly better. I was a better makeup artist because I was super skinny. Like, I don't get it. My alopecia started amongst this storm. So there was tension, there was extensions, there were ponytails. There was that for sure. And like I said in that video, like that was there, that happened. But on top of that, there was malnutrition, 100%, and extreme stress. And then to add another layer to this cake, I also have a thyroid issue that I didn't actually know I had until after I had my first son. Thyroid can also be a contributor to hair loss. That is what created what you see. That is what created the storm. It wasn't just one thing. And that's something that I see a lot of people saying like, oh my God, I wear my hair up high a lot, or I wear a ponytail a lot, that's gonna happen to me. It could for sure happen to you. Traction alopecia is a real thing, but it could not also happen to you. You might not be wearing it as tight as I was wearing, but I also had like a lot of other contributing factors that was creating basically this cyclone. One more thing that I wanted to say is that I really do take hours and hours in my week to respond to every single comment that I see. It is so important to me that we are a community and that I'm building this content to lift you up and to help you in your purchase decisions and to bring you joy or just make you laugh. And so I really do value you watching the content and I really do take the time to respond to your comments. And the most heartbreaking thing about that video getting so big so fast is that I had so many girls, so many young girls message me telling me about how this has like destroyed their self-worth. And I'm just gonna say, because I'm 34 years old, I have 2 kids, I have a family, I'm like very old. If you're 19, you probably see me as very old. The thing is that like, once you get older, you stop seeing things in that way. Do not let your insecurity define your worth. Do not let your flaws become your identity. You cannot do that. You know, this alopecia, it's annoying. I can't really wear my hair in a ponytail without putting powder on my roots. I'll make some videos on how to cover it up, but it's not who I am. It's just what has happened. And I really urge you to not let it define you, because even though it sucks to live with something like this and it sucks to be a woman who has this, it's just one small flaw in a whole river of beautiful, amazing things that you bring to the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about it or you want to know more, then please leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be doing a whole series on hair loss and covering hair loss. And also I'm going to be doing some treatments soon, which I'll take you with me and we can document that experience. I really want you to know that I am here for you. I always take the time to read your comments and to respond. I'll see you in a few days. Bye.